The Dead Speak, or no they don't. The New Republic Scroll has been released. That and much more. This is my first time doing this. I've never done the intro, the cold open. This is weird. Mike, come back. Thank you. Alongside Ryan and Sam, I am Chris, and you are listening to the Droids You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Not a ton of news, but some things of note. Good to be back. How we doing, guys?
Let's just open with not a lot to listen to, folks. Not a lot of reason.
I told you, I never
there will
did
be
this
plenty
before.
to listen to. This will be our longest episode ever. We're just
Yeah, exactly. I think we set the precedent. I'm setting the bar low because I know Mike's not here, so that way it can only go up.
But you're going to want to listen for the secret code word from Chris at the end.
Where you could win Star Wars toys for life.
Just in case you're still a minute into this and haven't stopped yet, we are going to talk about Squadrons in case you're interested
There
in
it
that.
is.
And there is some news.
I blanked on the intro and I couldn't think of
We'll
what
put
else.
it in the episode title. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's good.
Don't worry, Chris. We'll get it clean at the end, and Ryan will just cut it in right in the top.
Exactly. We're just gonna hire a cameo to do this whole
I
thing.
think people like the genuinity.
Yeah, I'm with you. Oh boy. Whew. How
Where
are
are
we
we
doing?
starting? Come on. I'm doing good. I've had a real crunch at work lately, and trying to get a lot of stuff scheduled for the end of the year because I'm gonna have a bit of a leave here coming up.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel for
Good.
that work. So that's good.
Nice. That's good.
But whenever I did pick my head up from the desk and I was reminded of the world, I'm pretty stressed out and anxiety-ridden these days.
Why not?
Ryan, over to you. How are you doing?
Here's the thing to consider, everyone. I think, we've been clear on the podcast where we stand on things. I think that anyone could kind of guess where we stand politically, and, I think that our listeners are aware of this. But just in case, I want to
Han shot first.
quote George Lucas on something that's relevant to the world right now, where when he was writing Star Wars, he was contemplating governments and how things go awry. And in his words, he said, "Democracies are not overthrown, they're given away."
Wow.
So just think about that over the next few weeks if you need to think about it. And
That's profound.
Like if you're someone who, listening to this, maybe is rolling your eyes going, "Ugh, I hate when they get into politics," or if you're someone
you're
who's
who
going,
we need
who's
to
going
think
like,
about that.
yeah, if you're like, if you're like not, if you haven't been literally thinking of nothing else for weeks, that's a sign, and you should think about Ryan's, Lucas quote.
I think that's great.
Important. Like, what are we giving away here, people?
I think that's a great point to raise, that Star Wars, in a way, has been kind of preparing us mentally for certain situations, albeit the prequels or jumping right into the original trilogy. I think there's scenarios that overlap there, and we've seen the hopeful outcome, and let's just hope for that.
Chris, I don't know what you're talking about. Star Wars has always just been nice. It's never been political. All right, it's just
oh no,
it's just a fun science fiction story about trade routes and an authoritarian overthrow of a democratic Senate.
Yeah, that's
it's just, I don't know why everybody thinks that it has to be political.
Hey,
it drives me nuts. Name one other war movie that's political. Movies about World War II? Nah, political.
No. We're talking about
movies
Star
about the
Wars.
Vietnam War?
Wars.
Nah, political. World War I? Nah, political. Name one war that's been political in history.
Hey, all I gotta say,
the Star Wars are no different.
from my point of view, the Jedi are evil.
Whoa.
Wait a second. Did I say that out loud?
You are my brother, Chris.
I hate you. It's not true. It's a false fact. But I hope everyone is doing well with everything going on, and we really do sincerely hope that. Hey, let us let us know how you're doing with Star Wars, with anything. You can email us, droidspod@gmail.com. You can tweet at us at droidspod. Instagram at droidspod. Facebook, the Droids You're Looking For podcast. YouTube, watch Ryan play some video games. Always great to watch. YouTube, the Droids You're Looking For podcast. And also, you can listen to episodes on YouTube. I can't stress that enough. Get those some views. They love it.
You guys want to hear some Star Wars After Hours names?
Oh, yeah.
No.
Mike's gone. This is when it happens.
So, Salacious Bum.
That's it. That's the
He's
premium
back.
content you find on our YouTube channel.
Jabba the Butt.
Wait a second.
And Boobs Fortuna.
There it is. There you
we
have it.
go.
That's the
We got
premium content you'll find on the YouTube channel. But also, listeners, something exciting coming up, and we don't have a date, and this might be too early to announce, but we are going to watch live Return of the Jedi. Disney now has a watch party function, which we're pretty excited about. So we can be to the second talking about Return of the Jedi as we watch it, and what 6 things. Maybe we'll get some guests in there, right, to watch with us.
Yeah, so
that could be
yeah,
fun.
so it seems like there's like it's up to a six user or like 6 account watch party.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
that's me,
depending
Mike,
on
Chris, George, and then who's the 6th?
JJ.
But what we could do, what would be really, really fun is, we'll make sure to give plenty of lead time and announce it and announce our start time. And maybe anybody who wants to join with their own watch party, like we'll
we'll
try and build up. If we can get a few watch parties going, get some Return of the Jedi,
It's great.
That'll be fun. We started it. Look.
Yeah.
This is
these live
the
watches,
teaser for the trailer. You know what I mean?
These live watches started,
Mm-hmm.
as something we wanted to do and was fun to do during this pandemic when we were like kind of thinking about, well, where do we want to take the pod? And then look, life got in the way and the pandemic has kept lasting and we've had to all kind of cope and adapt. So it's been a long time since we've done one, but I'm super excited.
Hey,
We had big plans to do a watch party together before the pandemic started. Since then, there's been a pandemic. Mike no longer lives near us. And what else, Chris? You sold your TV.
I sold my. Hey, I'll say a wise man whose birthday it is
Chris
today.
burned his TV in a barrel for heat.
That's where I'm at right now. A wise man whose birthday it is today, John Lennon once said, "Life is what happens when you make other plans." So there you have it. I think look forward to that. We'll be doing that soon. We'll let everyone know on all our social channels.
Beatles were never a political band.
Never. None of their
That's
songs.
why I love
no
them so
political
much.
inference at all. But
I want to hold your hand. Simple, innocent, not political.
of a different time, right? Nothing. Hey, all you need is love, and we'll get there. But hey, guys, the
twist and shout, baby.
twist and shout. An octopus's garden that has no meaning. But
Chris, you've been handling this episode perfectly, and I want to say Dankeschön.
hey, Dankeschön. Guys, Star Wars moves on no matter what's going on. Is this true or false?
That's
my segue.
Do I have to click? Do I have to click this article to answer?
That's my segue.
Okay, hold on. Let me go through the ZergNet, and then
Mike, this is so hard.
I'm going true on
How
this
do you
one.
do this?
True.
What did
True,
Snopes
it
say?
advances.
What did Snopes say? So the High Republic, the upcoming kind of Star Wars. What would you call it?
It's a mixed media project.
Mixed
I
media
believe.
project, kind of the next phase of Star Wars as we know it. I think we're maybe
Multimedia.
The
Sorry,
multimedia,
that's not a
mixed media, kind of where the franchise is going to put a lot of its weight in storytelling.
No,
right
mixed media. Like one part of it's going
Yeah.
to be like construction paper,
Yeah.
and the other part's going to be
now.
styrofoam.
One will be an app, and then
They're using a lot of paste.
cut a lot of magazine clippings out of Ewan McGregor.
Do you think there will be any papier mâché?
Paper mache was so big when I was a kid. Like it was like
Yeah, like you wrap some old newspaper and flour around a
it
balloon. Man,
it was like the ultimate craft that you could do as a child.
in 3 days it hardens up, the balloon's gone, and now you got a rough orb.
Exactly. So the High Republic, they're releasing new details. They're kind of setting up that world. So we have a crawl now. So we know literally what they are setting the expectation for the world of the High Republic to be.
Do we know how high the Republic is?
It seems like they're on the top. Do you want me to read it or not? You know what? This is more of a...
I'm going to vote true. I want you to read it.
Yeah, of course you should
This is
read
more
it.
of a different kind of podcast thing to read. Just kidding. I'll read it. All right, ready? Should I read it like the Clone Wars guy, where he's like, "I'm not."
Oh yeah. give it a Clone Wars read.
Yeah. I can't keep that up. I'm just gonna read it normal. Do you notice? I wonder if they couldn't get like their own rights because the song is just slightly different.
It's like a sound alike.
Yeah, exactly. It is a little bit different in the Clone Wars.
I think they just wanted to get their own thing.
I like
It's
it.
the Kids Bop version.
Star Wars: The High Republic. The galaxy is at peace, ruled by the glorious Republic, and protected by the noble and wise Jedi Knights. As a symbol of all that is good, the Republic is about to launch Starlight Beacon into the far reaches of the Outer Rim. This new space station will serve as a ray of hope for all to see. But just as the magnificent Renaissance spreads throughout the Republic, so does a frightening new adversary. Now, the Guardians of Peace and Justice must face a threat to themselves, the galaxy, and the Force itself. Ooh.
Fascinating.
Very good, very good.
I like it.
I would be high. Look, I love this. But it, I gotta question something. Mm-hmm. They're calling this Star Wars, and they're telling me Galaxy of Peace. I'm sort of going, hey, false advertising. Give me my money back.
I think they're saying, is peacetime really peaceful? And who is it peaceful for?
Great question. If you're not asking, so what you're saying is if you're comfortable and at peace and you're not worried about things or questioning things, maybe you should be. Maybe you should be looking at where you stand. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is, you're sitting at a casino. Maybe everything is at all as it seems. Put your eyes in some binoculars and look a little closer. The fathiers are being shocked.
Side note, I listened to another podcast that's I'll call it a pod favorite of this pod, the Blank Check episode where they talk Last Jedi. And I gotta tell you, I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I love those guys. They're smart movie guys. Listen to their podcast. Listen to them talk about movies.
Great
realize
podcast.
how smart
and if
they are.
anything, they need some help from us.
Realize
Listen to
how
Blank Check.
No. Realize how smart they are about movies, and go listen to that episode. And if you didn't like The Last Jedi, then you're gonna feel like a real dum dum, ding dong,
A real
ding dong dum dum. You're gonna feel stupid.
A real
is what I'm saying.
A real gung.
Well, hey. Gungans, they get a bad rap.
I like them. I'm a fan. Yeah, no, I think I get what you're saying. We're kind of being sold a little bit of a raw deal here. There's no war. At first.
No, I'm messing with it. Like, look,
Yeah.
I think the on the one hand, this serves the purpose of getting me excited for the High Republic, which I'm already looking forward to the idea of a big. I think the thing that's exciting about it, in the same way that when they started the sequel trilogy, what was so exciting was like, we're going to a new part of Star Wars. Mm-hmm. We're going to a new time and a new setting for Star Wars that we haven't been to. That's what I'm excited about for the High Republic.
Yeah.
And this confirms that. I think as crawls go, I do think it really is tough to part of what's so fun about Star Wars is the whole in media res of it all.
Yes.
And the whole urgency. And so every Star Wars movie starts with a crawl that is about how things are precarious and what's in motion that is like the danger that's
as opposed
lurking.
to saying what's about to be in conflict.
And
yes.
Yeah, and this starts a little before, and it's kind of like we're at peace and they're about to launch this thing. It's like, so the first issue of the comic is going to be them launching the space station.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need that. I need to know that, like, the peaceful galaxy that we lived in. Say like what they need to say in this crawl is like the peaceful beacon, Starlight Beacon, was destroyed by an unknown adversary. The Jedi were enlisted to determine what possibly would have attacked during a peaceful time. And so then suddenly we're like, oh, there's been 1,000 years of peace, and like suddenly there's like a weird thing. Or I guess like 500 years of peace, and there's about to be another 500 after what's going to be like a small enough conflict that we have 1,000 years of peace. I don't know.
I guess since it's a multimedia project, they have to have like
Yeah.
a few more parts to it. That'll probably be what the novel is or something.
Right.
Like,
I hear you though. Like I would prefer it to be like we should know who the adversary like is in a matter of respect. Like we should know they should already be attacking them. That's how you start this thing in media res.
Well, it's like the idea of like the movie about the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand that like sets off World War One is probably a great and really interesting and really thrilling movie for like political gamesmanship and stuff.
Sure.
But it's not a Star Wars movie, right? Like the Star Wars movie there is like World War One has erupted and there's people trying to like survive and there's spies and there's allies and there's like massive death. Like that's the movie that like the world that Star Wars is set in. So I know I'm like mixing like real like life history and Star Wars, but I'm trying to like paint that picture.
Someone tried to assassinate that band from the early aughts.
So sorry. So sorry, Ryan, that you just found out tonight. I know. I agree. I mean, I think
was that Take Me Out? Was
Who's
that
next?
him?
Modest Mouse.
You say you don't know. Oh no, that was Modest Mouse, wasn't it? Take Me Out.
Modest Mouse
Ferdinand
was Float
the
On.
Yeah.
Franz Ferdinand was Take Me Out. And
Take Me
Modest
Out.
Mouse
Okay,
was
I had it
Float
right.
On.
Okay.
Yeah.
You say you don't know.
After-
Say, don't you know?
That's pretty good.
So someone tried to kill them, huh?
So the
I'm not gonna stop if you start talking. I'm gonna
please
go back
do
to
it.
the song.
Please keep going. We're just gonna get picked up, flagged for a copyright violation because you're a beautiful singer.
Oh, they're gonna take this off of YouTube.
Stepfathers.
After
Boobs
reading
effect.
this, it made me think a lot about our 6-part read of the alleged Colin Trevorrow script. Go back to our back library and listen to that if you must, if you may.
Stay out of my
but
back library.
this
That's what I
kind
always
of-
say.
Who knows what we said in those? I would take a listen and report anything. But the idea though that they're kind of like building this beacon base and stuff like that, I think a lot of these themes kind of tie into what they were trying to do in that script. Whereas and even in at the end of The Last Jedi, like this idea that there's like this underground network of star bases and beacons and a network that in case things go bad. I mean, I think Star Wars is always a story about hope, and I think this is like they're looking out for the future in this little crawl, and I think that theme thematically it kind of got lost in The Rise of Skywalker or completely lost, but I think
I
that
wouldn't describe that as a film with a theme.
I think that this is kind of cool in the sense that like that's laying down that groundwork. But I don't know what that does to the future of Star Wars though, knowing that they didn't use it.
Well, I'm gonna toss out. So this is, I think I think of all the folks on the pod, I'm the one who's like done the most in terms of like dipping my toe into like the novels and stuff. At least recently, like I've read a few of the Star Wars books, and I also read I read one Star Trek book. I looked up like I was on a real Trek kick. I was on a Trek, and I looked up like sort of best or like fan favorite novels that you can read in that universe, and which I guess is our universe, just the future. But
Engage.
The books that were recommended was like the Star Trek Vanguard series, and Vanguard was a space station that was like launched and was it was like it took place pre or at least it was like either pre Kirk and Spock or concurrent with like Kirk and Spock and Bones and their adventures. But it was like that era.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Wait a second. Somebody is snoring? Wait, Ryan, wake up. Ryan.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Star Wars.
Star Wars podcast.
Oh, we have a guest.
Oh, hey, we have a special guest.
We have a guest. I actually, man, I haven't heard from you in years.
I had a dream that I was listening to the new episode of Star Trek.
Oh my god.
I hear you though.
I'm just saying.
Go on, Sam.
I'm just saying
finish.
there was an idea of like this idea of space stations and like beacons and stuff being a very good spot to have your like ancillary side content is like very like common. I feel like there's a lot of Star Trek novels that take place on a space station that's not the Enterprise, right? That's like out in some quadrant. And there's a lot of Star Wars stuff that's like, oh, it takes place on the Outer Rim. Interesting. I guess that's somewhere we don't know.
Did I ever tell you guys about that book I read about crown molding?
I thought at first that was Mike Static, and then it was.
I knew what it was. I knew what it was the whole time. I was trying to be professional.
I do like that idea. I do feel like this does feel like that kind of. There is something.
Sorry, I learned how to read, Ryan.
There is something about having a story that feels a lot more disconnected, which I don't think Star Wars has really had quite yet. Like we haven't, even with Rogue One, that's still a pretty integral part of the Skywalker saga. I don't think
Rogue One was the closest. That's a good example, though.
Yeah, like it's there, but it's not quite. Like I think this is really reaching out into a territory where it's like we don't know how people respond to things. We don't know their view of the Force. We don't know quite what to expect, and that's pretty exciting to me. I think that's fun.
I'm stoked. I'm going to subscribe, just like the last Star Wars comic book that I talked about weekly.
I am curious though. Like, is the are they gonna do? I wonder what the print run will be like, because the comic industry has largely moved to digital. Is there like a subscription option for like a digital? Like you subscribe just to this thing? That's cool.
You can do it on like Comixology or whatever. You just subscribe to a series. It's cool, and it shows up when it releases.
Very cool.
Nice.
I mean, this isn't an advertisement for Comixology, though. We'd be happy to have them as a sponsor.
Hey.
No.
Comixology, providing great tasting salmon and tuna for years.
New York toasting bagels. Genuine babka.
Guys, I read Mr. Miracle, which was like kind of a popular DC run from like a year ago. That was Tom King and Mitch Gerads did it. Wow. That's something you guys should buy if you want a good comic.
I like the plug. I love the plug. Wow, there you have it.
I read it digitally. That's what made me think. I
maybe
think
up front we could say, hey,
made me
stick around for a little gem of knowledge in the middle of this episode. You're going to find out something you never thought you knew.
I've been playing Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3.
I love it.
Hey, that recommendation.
Oh, Sam, we got to play that together. Pretty far
was. That recommendation was everything I never knew I always wanted.
Yeah, that's the name of this episode, I think. Everything
I
you
really
never knew
lost
you needed.
it. I really lost it there. But thanks. I was glad to know that I have my boys there to catch me.
I'm there,
so
man.
I just mentioned the video game I've been playing. You guys been playing any video games?
Oh boy, hey.
Oh baby, have we ever?
Wow, my gosh.
I'm gonna say, edit your loadout, strap into the hangar, because we're taking off in squadrons.
Is that Frisk I hear? Yeah, I think
that's a pretty good transition.
That was a great transition, Ryan. I'll let you take this one.
Star Wars Squadrons, the spiritual successor to games such as TIE Fighter, X-Wing, and X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, which are all games that are very highly revered that I have never played, nor do I have any intention of going back and playing, because I looked at gameplay videos, and my goodness, that was a long, long time ago.
Hey, Ryan, I'll tell you what, whatever you saw in the gameplay video, multiply that by 1,000, and that's the length of those games. They literally never end.
So it was made as a spiritual successor to these kinds of games, which take kind of the flight aspects of the Star Wars video game universe and kind of pushes them more into a simulation kind of, somewhere between Battlefront and Microsoft Flight Simulator.
Yeah.
There's no point that you're just like, hey, I'm just going to take a quick jaunt from Tatooine to Dagobah in real time. There's nothing like that.
No.
It's mostly dogfighting and stuff, but the controls are interesting because you control basically every aspect of the ship. So, like, in Star Wars movies where they say, divert all power to the front shields. That's a thing you do in this game.
Yeah.
If you're getting fired on from the front, you divert all power to the front shields, and then you divert all power to engines when you got to hightail it out of there.
Or if you're me, you blow up.
Yeah, if you're Chris, you blow up. Chris and I played some multiplayer with a pal of ours, and it was very fun. I wouldn't say that we did well.
No, it's so there is an online competitive element to it. I think as a Star Wars story and a storytelling device, it brought me to my Star Wars happy place, which I was not expecting. Like, I thought it was going to be this kind of like, all right, like a little arcade kind of game. You strap in, you do the missions, but the level of storytelling is so in depth, and you can like talk to other characters. It really reminds me of like the old school. You mentioned TIE Fighter and X-Wing, but like it reminds me of also like Rebel Assault and like early Dark Forces games. Like it reminds me of that 90s era of Star Wars where like people were just building stories like kind of just out of nowhere to be like, hey, this would be an interesting story to tell, but let's set it in Star Wars world.
Yeah, and it's very like the campaign is somewhat brief but good. It's mostly massive tutorial for you to get good at the multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's basically a training to teach you the skills so you can play it basically indefinitely.
Yeah, it's go ahead.
I was just gonna jump back. I don't want to interrupt the flow, but like when you mentioned, Ryan, the idea of like just jaunt from like Tatooine to Dagobah, like they should release a version that's just like the long haul trucker game.
Oh, I
like
love
whatever
that
is.
Yeah,
like where you just like realistic flight simulator where you could just fly between planets, and like if they added a feature where you could just like do in atmosphere flying, like to like take off and land. Boy, oh boy, I'd live in that world.
It'd be very cool. The game, it's very pretty, and the maps are like very varied. So there's one above like Yavin that's very like it's clouds and beautiful and like sunset and cool, and like that stuff's great. And the game looks good. It controls really well. It's the kind of thing that's like easy to pick up, hard to master, which is very satisfying. And it is in-depth enough that you feel like there are a lot of things for you to do to get good at it.
Yes.
So, and the story is like, it's really mainline. Like it's very like, one half of it is the rebellion, one half is the Empire. It takes place after the Battle of Endor. And it's just kind of like going back and forth. The rebellion have like a weapon that they want to be able to use, and the Empire wants to stop them, and you jump back and forth with perspectives. And, like, that's basically it. But, like, this game it's very rewarding as a longtime fan, because this game is, like, canon as hell.
Right.
It's, like, the way that so, like, for instance, TIE fighters are, as we know from A New Hope, some people call it Star Wars.
Yeah.
TIE fighters don't have light speed capabilities. A small fighter would never be this far out here on their own. But X-Wings do. Now, that doesn't come into play in terms of like gameplay. You're not jumping to light speed, but when you need to rendezvous and things like that, the TIE fighters need to be hooked up to a bigger ship in order to travel at light speed. That's just like a nice little like detail for people who like this stuff. And also, every single ship controls completely different. So the TIE fighter kind of is the balanced thing, but if you want to hop in an A-wing, it's like really squishy but fast as hell.
It's very fun. They went to great lengths to make sure each ship has its own like unique feel, and like there's options in the game also that make you like you can kind of choose your level of immersion, which I think as a Star Wars fan is like the ultimate. And I think that also kind of harkens, is that a word? Back to X-Wing and TIE Fighter, where it's like those games were just technically complicated because they were just old video games, so they weren't giving you a lot of like interstitials, like, hey, here's how you do this. Like they came with a half-inch instruction manual, and you had to figure out what the buttons did. So there is levels and options you can choose, and it gives you the prompt up front to be like, hey, do you want to play this instruments only? Meaning, like, the instruments you see in the cockpit...
The only way to play.
Yeah, exactly. The instruments you see in the cockpit are what you use to gauge what's going on in the game. And that's pretty awesome as like a...
Oh, I thought that was... So when I put that mode on, it meant that I could only use my Guitar Hero controller.
So, Sam, that's why you're
using
losing
a series of bananas.
Yeah, exactly.
No.
It's a very...
I don't have this game, so I want to jump back, and I'm curious. So, describe for me, what's the difference between, like, flying a TIE fighter and flying an X-Wing?
Oh, wow.
Okay, so a TIE fighter is much faster and maneuvers a lot better.
And also the inside... Yeah, go ahead. I was going to say the inside's a lot cleaner.
The inside's a lot cleaner.
Now, wait,
also,
interesting.
you are, like,
Chris.
beholden to the cockpits, which is interesting because sometimes it feels really claustrophobic. Like, you want to be able to see something you can't see because the cockpit's in the way, which is an immersive thing, which is cool.
Now, you guys are talking about the view inside the cockpit. This is just something whenever you're playing with your controller and, like, looking at the screen, you notice?
Well, you can take it up a notch.
Whatever do you mean?
You could play it in VR as well, which which I semi recommend because I think it's giving me low grade motion sickness.
If you have inner ear problems,
please don't play this. But I will say though, as far as a VR game goes, like Star Wars has been the goal of mine forever. Like I literally, anytime I've done any kind of VR or simulation, like it's been like the Star Wars arcade game where you sat down in the big arcade thing and it looked like you were flying a ship. Like I do think this is one of the ultimate applications of Star Wars as a VR entity. Like I don't think VR existed until this game.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think there was
Smackdown on Vader Immortal.
I think there was
Beat
Saber, Vader Immortal, and now this game.
But so Ryan, I asked a question and then you started to answer, and then we tangentially moved on. But okay, so the TIE fighters are fast and super maneuverable, but then
super maneuverable, but they have no shields, so you can't divert things to shields. They're much squishier, so they blow up a lot easier.
Yes,
is that what squishy means? It's like like delicate.
It means like low HP essentially.
Okay.
And then the X-Wings are a little bulkier, so the equivalent... but then you can also fly a TIE Interceptor, which is even faster, more squishy, but like more powerful, which would be like the Empire's answer to the A-Wing.
Right.
But they're also like, you could fly a Y-Wing, which feels huge and heavy, and it's a bomber ship, and then you could fly a U-Wing, which is essentially like the support ship for the other ships.
Which was introduced in Rogue One.
Yes.
But also featured...
I gotta look up the U-Wing now.
Featured in Return of the Jedi at one frame or something? Or am I...
After Rogue One, because there were so few of them, there was like the canon was that so few of them were manufactured.
Right.
Oh, so the U-Wing is like, that's like the ship in Rogue One, right? Like
yes.
Either
it goes to the rainy goes to the rainy planet.
Maybe somebody listening to the pod might know this or has told me, but I believe the U-Wing was either featured in Return of the Jedi or it was part of the Star Wars, like the role-playing game, like one of those ships that was created.
No, Patrick Ewing was in Return of the Jedi. That's definitely true.
That's not what I was saying, but shout out to all my Knicks fans. Shout out to all my Knicks fans.
I'm glad. I've been very... I've been spending time, Chris, you spoke a lot about this, how like some of your free time during these like, you know, forced indoor quarantining periods have been playing video games you had and hadn't beaten. So I've been working through a lot of old games. So I have not played this yet, but like watching on the text thread, the Droids thread, y'all have been playing it and it sounds super fun. It sounds like the kind of like simulator flight game that I would enjoy. Like I would love though. I hope they spin it out. Like since they developed these mechanics and the ships, I mean, I hope they continue to add like more places. Like I said, I think like a straight up like A to B like flight sim would be fun.
Sure.
And like also like I think they could take this now, and can you imagine? Look, no humans have the reflexes for it, but can you imagine pod racing in VR?
Yeah.
Oh, baby, that'd be great.
I mean,
I think it's a good game. It's a good value proposition because it's not a full price game. It's $40. They've said that they're not going to add any content to it, but I think we'll see how that goes because if this game is really well received, if anything, it might be a test for whether they should do a next gen version of this that's a little more robust.
Interesting. This could be a nice like way to get some seed money for that.
right.
Yeah, because I think that they knew that there was a cult following for the TIE Fighter games, the X-Wing games. People love those.
Yeah.
But I think they kind of wanted to see if they could kind of make a profit on it, or if it was just a small cult.
See if enough dopes bought PSVRs.
I would love. Yes, I would love a more in-depth, kind of less arcade kind of. You're like on a track on this a little bit. Like the game's gonna move to where you need it to go, regardless of what you do. I would love a more kind of ethereal. You could fly around for a half hour, like you kind of mentioned. Like you could do stuff before the mission like starts, and that I think that's kind of the vibe that X-Wing and TIE Fighter gave. They had a demo in the Battlefront 2 that was a VR demo for flying an X-Wing, and I remember playing that, thinking how amazing that was. And I think they essentially took those elements and put them into this game. But I would love for this to kind of be your happy place where you can just like get in the X-Wing, you do your mission, but you could sit in that thing for a while. Here, you're on a track. It's $40. You're hearing the story, and then I think really the ultimate goal, like you said, is to train you to play the multiplayer, which
is a blast. Even if you're not good, there are moments that are just by the fact of you're interacting with other pilots. I'm putting that in quotes, but like there are genuinely thrilling moments.
Yes.
And what's cool about it is that you get, say I think it's usually 5v5. And it's straight up dogfighting. Like there's nothing else to it. It's just like aerial dogfighting. So you do get like the way you'd see in like a war movie. You get adversaries on the field. Mm-hmm. Where like I had a moment the other day where someone was coming after me, and then I kind of turned the tables on them, and then it was clearly like no one else is here. Like this is just me and you until one of us goes down. Yep. And like that's a really fun aspect to bring into a video game like this, especially when it's Star Wars and it's it's all the noises that you love. And
I was
going to
say the sounds you hear are also just like they match exactly how you play in your head. And Ryan, I think you said it when we were playing with a buddy, as we mentioned. There's no greater feeling than shooting your adversary and then flying through their explosion. Like
and you get to do that a lot.
You can do that, and it's a lot of fun. Like I think this is it's a cool way. I don't know. It almost feels like it's winding down like a part of Star Wars or something. I don't know if that's just because it's like the end of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox generation. Like it feels like it's like a little button on our current position on Star Wars. Like I don't know,
because it wasn't like this huge marketing push. It just felt like it was this smaller game that they were putting out because they were like, this is a cool thing.
Yeah. So
we hope you'll buy it.
I really like it.
It does feel like a smaller, like it almost feels like the kind of like indie passion project. Although I mean, to say that about Star Wars in 2020 is funny. Exactly. I mean, that's obviously I'm sure it costs Star Wars is like roots, but I also just when you guys are talking, I mean, that's always been the edge that that the Star Wars games have had is like the sound and music cues. I even think of like games that have really, really successfully translated like the recent I know we've talked about like the Arkham games or the Sony Spider-Man game. Some of those things that have taken like pop culture mainstream properties, and even with those, the sound design is like the sound design for the game. The music is the music for the game. And with Star Wars, like being a Lucasfilm, like LucasArts thing, and obviously now I know it's moved, to EA. This is an EA game, right? Is
Yeah.
that?
Yep.
Yeah.
A small
So
little indie project from EA.
It's moved to EA, but like they've always had that element right.
Yeah.
They've always had John Williams. They've always had the actual like Ben Burt sound design,
Yeah.
like blaster
Yeah, I mean,
stuff.
yeah, you're getting
and
a-
there's something that you can't like. There is something that you can't get if it's not first party, right? If it's not a direct license thing where it's just like, you know, unless you have that, the Star Wars by virtue of having that. Sorry, what I'm trying to say is by virtue of having that, the Star Wars games have always felt like playing a movie, and that is cool.
I mean,
because
I
Star
think-
Wars is movies. Like that's the
and it's also like I think even LucasArts has even contemplated telling the next chapters of Star Wars as an interactive experience, whether it be a video game or however they do. And I think kind of going back to like Knights of the Old or High Republic, like we said, it's like it's mixed media, and I think Star Wars, they'll put as much attention into a video game as they do a movie. Like, that's their MO is we're going to tell the best story on the medium that we possibly can, and I think this game
Also,
is no exception.
This one really hits that spot of like that EU kind of happy place because it's completely contained. There's no like thing where it's like, what is that pilot actually Rey's parents? You know, not,
yeah.
that's
You don't
not
have
a
to
thing.
worry
But
about that stuff. There's such.
It's just literally it's just pilots and in the
Yeah.
two different factions.
And they throw some bones. They'll throw some like other names that you may have heard and things like that. But it's
Yeah,
like,
especially in the worlds. Like there was a was it that Hasnian system? There's something. And then,
Hosnian.
you know, the Hosnian system.
Yeah.
And then you know, you fight above Yavin and you know, there's a lot of things like that.
That's neat. I love that.
great.
That sounds. I've
I've been having a great time with it.
yeah. I think
Did I tell you guys that I finished that book, that EU book, and I do want to go, or not EU book, rather, sorry, the official canon book, Master and Apprentice, and I do want to just go on record as saying, like, look, the back third was pretty good. Like, it got,
All right.
like,
I like
like it got worth it. It's a little bit of a slog. I don't defend the beginning of that book, but for anybody who makes it through, it gets pretty cool. It took me for a surprise or two, but anyway, the game is cool,
Yeah.
and I'm glad.
Yeah.
I think it's worth to say that the game gets the official tip of the cat.
I'd
Tip
say
of the
that
cat.
this generation, this is my favorite Star Wars game that's come out, and I liked Fallen Order a lot. But
As you can see
and
on
the
YouTube.
Battlefront games,
Yeah.
the Battlefront games were fun too. You can see it on YouTube. The Battlefront games are really fun too. I think that this is the most complete,
Yeah.
just streamlined feeling of those games. I felt
Yeah.
like Fallen Order was very good, but it was trying to combine a lot of different things and kind of inject itself into like where it's going to fall in the story and set up sequels, blah, blah, blah. And the Battlefront games were basically a vehicle for multiplayer and microtransactions, but this just feels like they put out a really solid interactive experience that people can kind of dig their teeth into. It's like I said, like easy to pick up, difficult to master. It's not even that easy to pick up, but you know, Chris was saying like, oh, there's like 4 or 5 things. We were talking about this. Like there's 4 or 5 things in the cockpit to do as opposed to the usual 2 or 3. Yeah. And I was saying like, I think if we got deeper into this, we'd see that there were way more than that.
Yeah.
To like manage.
Yep.
There are like systems in this game that I am not even privy to yet. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of an exciting thing if you like getting into that stuff.
It's a lot of fun. It's cool to have something from Star Wars where you don't have to question it too much or judge it on like new merits. Like you just kind of take it in and you're like, well, okay, we're here. Like I feel like
it is like the most distilled, like simplest version of like if someone was like, hey, quick, how would you take Star Wars and like make it interactive? Like the first thing that you'd say would be like fly a spaceship.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And there are things that if you go instruments only, the only way to play, there are things that are rewarding for being a Star Wars fan. Like there's a mission where you have to take down a Star Destroyer piece by piece, essentially. Mm-hmm. And they say, because if it's instruments only, they don't tell you like exactly what to do. They say you need to destroy the field generators. Mm-hmm. And it's like, because you're a Star Wars fan, you know what part of the Star Destroyer that is.
Right. You know where to go. Yeah.
Yeah, like you know where the shield generators are. And also, there is something cool about doing it from that clip from Return of the Jedi that you've seen a million times, where like the X-wing blows up the shield generators and flies through the explosion.
Yeah, exactly. Well, lie, I tried that.
I also had a mission where I had to go into the core of something. You do a trench run, not on the Death Star, but you do a trench run, fly into the core of something, and as it's exploding behind you, you have to speed through a closing giant door.
It's the best.
And I was like, that's the best.
Yeah, that's the kind of Star Wars everyone wants to experience. So
yeah. So I if you have the cash and that sounds like something you're interested in, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun with it. The multiplayer Chris and I were playing. It's cross-platform, so you can play with your friends on different consoles, which is cool.
Yeah. It gives me the warm Star Wars, I'll say the holiday feels. Like it puts me in that nice little place.
Yeah.
And that's
we're in that change of seasons. It's when Chris is, especially this year, man. Well, at least Mando, Mando's
we got Mando coming up too. It's really gonna I think it's really gonna push all the levers here to put me back in that place. So
on that note, real quick, what's your prediction for Mando, Chris? Give us a hot and fresh.
We're gonna see Ahsoka and Ezra episode 1, and that's it.
All right, Ryan, what's going to happen?
I've got on record as this. I think Ahsoka Silhouette, we're going to see episode 3, and then we're going to see Ahsoka episode 4.
Wow.
Okay, now I got to do mine. What's my prediction for Mando? It's we're going to see a prominent like ancillary character from the original trilogy get killed by the Darksaber.
Whoa!
Wow!
Like not like obviously I'm not talking like Han, Luke, Leia, Lando stuff, but I'm gonna say like we're gonna see somebody that is recognizable, like those dudes from the cantina in season 1.
Wait,
but
you'll
like
be
we're
dead.
Like we're gonna see somebody get like
just
nuked by the Darksaber.
Is Nia Nub still alive? Did we see? Yeah,
didn't he?
Yes.
Didn't he bite it didn't he bite it in Rise of Skywalker?
Yeah, he did.
Oh, I think he did. I think he did.
Oh,
everybody's
maybe
favorite Star Wars.
Maybe Sheev.
Maybe Wedge. Maybe we'll get Wedge.
Maybe what about Sheev? Sheev's wife, one of Sheev's wives. I don't know.
Oh, maybe it's one of Sheev's clones.
Maybe one of Sheev's clones gets it. Yeah.
No, but I think what would be very cool is I just wanted to go away from the Ahsoka predictions and so I'm going to say something with the Darksaber. But how cool would it be if they if that's how they established Moff Gideon's skill and also the danger of the Darksaber was like somebody we kind of have affinity for. We kind of. What if it's like old Jar Jar?
Let's not say it.
If they could fit Jar Jar into this, I'd be thrilled.
I would
be
love
amazing.
It.
I don't want that to happen. I want him to
we
live.
know from canon that he died as a busker.
Yeah.
Yeah, pauper. Busking.
Well, also,
but maybe they could pass him and he's doing some of his performing.
If they are talking Mandalorians, I mean, Sabine is on the table too. I forgot to mention her. So I think might have a little.
Because don't they have? Isn't that the rumored casting of Katie Sackhoff?
Yeah,
is that she would be Sabine.
Yeah,
which because Katie Sackhoff is in it.
I mean, hey, if Mandalorian turns into a Rebels extended story, that's pretty amazing. Which in a way
supposed to be one big story.
And the fact that Rebels turned into a little bit of a Clone Wars extended thing, which is also pretty cool. So. Hey, they got the same guy on all 3 of those, so I wouldn't put it out of the world of opportunity. Ryan, get your coin ready.
Oh, it's ready.
Polish it up. Awesome. Well, hey guys,
I'm moving soon, and I got to make sure that I have it with me.
We could do.
I put it in its own box.
We could do the group party watch for Mando.
Oh yeah, we can. That's amazing.
We can pick out our day and or morning or night
a nice
or
little
whatever.
Got another teaser to a trailer.
5:30 a.m. Well, hey, if you want to watch that, let us know. droidspod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @droidspod. Follow us on Instagram @droidspod. Facebook, The Droids You're Looking For Podcast. YouTube, search The Droids You're Looking For Podcast. You can watch all of our episodes there if you choose to listen on that. And if you're listening there right now, thank you. Guys, I think we did it. I think we got there. We meandered. We meowed. We kind of made it through without Mike, which means I think we can do this. We can do this. No, I'm just kidding, Mike. We miss you desperately. We'll see you soon. We'll hear our listeners soon. Look out for the Return of the Jedi live watch. We really enjoyed doing those. It's a lot of fun. We'll put it on Facebook. We'll put it on YouTube. What else? What else is there? Is this it?
Chris,
did I do it?
Chris,
Yeah.
what's the code word?
The secret word is
For a free life supply of Star Wars toys, as you
drink
said earlier.
more Ovaltine. That's it. That's it. That was it. Well, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Ryan, Sam. I'm Chris. That'll do it for the Droid You're Looking For, a Star Wars podcast.
What they throw.
Amen.